The White House throwing its support behind the House Republican bill to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. But critics say the bill could result in millions losing their coverage. It's also facing a serious conservative revolt. So joining us now is Texas Republican Representative Michael Burgess. He is the longest-serving doctor in Congress and heads the House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee on Health, which helped draft this bill. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on, Allison.
Great to have you here. So this was not perhaps the slam dunk that you were hoping for. We heard from the House.
No.
Go ahead.
I never thought this would be a slam dunk. This was always going to be an arduous uphill struggle, but I'm grateful to be to have the White House, to have the President talking favorably about the product that we'll be working on this morning. But make no mistake about it, this is going to be this is a reconciliation bill. This is by definition an intensely partisan process. It is important to take this as the first step, and I do believe it is an important and good first step. But this is in no way was this ever going to be a light lift.
Well, I mean, John Cornyn said that he wants to vote on it right away without these sorts of debates in committee.
Well, the debate in the committee is important. With all respect to my senior senator, and obviously have a lot of affection for Senator Cornyn, but at least in our House committee, it is important that we have a chance for everyone to voice their feelings and their concerns, and those will be heard today.
Let's talk about what people don't like about it. The House Freedom Caucus thinks that it goes too far. They want a repeal. And then there are a whole bunch of Republicans who think that it is going to leave millions of people, 10 million people, uninsured. What's your answer? Well,
of course, the goal is that no one should lose insurance and everyone should have access. Important to me on the physician side of the ledger is currently you have people who have coverage, they have a card, but they can't get care. So I think that disconnect also needs to be corrected. And I'm very grateful when people like Dr. Tom Price, who's now the Secretary of Health and Human Services, talks about a patient-centered approach. I think that's exactly on point and exactly where we should be headed. But the fact is that people should have the availability of coverage should they choose to seek it, but they should not have the Internal Revenue Service chasing them down and forcing them to buy something that they don't want or cannot afford.
Yeah, but access doesn't equal coverage. And in fact, the S&P Global Ratings estimates that as many as 10 million people could lose their coverage under your GOP plan. That's half of the 20 million who gained coverage under Obamacare. So how do you in good conscience take away their coverage now?
Well, the simple fact is that you're not. And of course, the Congressional Budget Office overestimated the number of people that would be covered under the Affordable Care Act. About half of the people that they said would be covered actually either paid the fine or sought an exclusion or exemption from the individual mandate. So the coverage numbers were never where the Obama administration said they were going to be. But look, more importantly, again, to me, people have coverage without being able to get care. I talk to people all the time who have a deductible that is so high that they simply avoid seeking care. And I think former President Clinton said it very well in October when he said, we've got this crazy system where people out there busting it. They're working 2 jobs. They're paying twice as much for half the care. That is a problem that needs to be resolved. That's a here and now problem that people are experiencing every day.
Yeah. Congressman, we had Congressman Jason Chaffetz on New Day yesterday, and he said something that raised some eyebrows. He talked about how lower-income people are going to have to, with this new plan, make some very tough choices. Here's what he said.
We're getting rid of the individual mandate. We're getting rid of those things that people said that they don't want. And you know what? Americans have choices, and they've got to make a choice. And so maybe rather than getting that new iPhone that they just love and they want to go spend hundreds of dollars on that, maybe they should invest in their own health care. They've got to make those decisions themselves.
What do you think of that comment, Congressman?
I can't speak to that. I want them to have both because, you know what, in the future of healthcare, an iPhone may be an integral part of your ability to interact with your doc.
Right.
So
I mean, well, there you go. And so that's why it raised some eyebrows, because he seemed to be suggesting that
Allison, but the key is we can have both. We can have both. And that's what today is all about. We're going to be talking about those things that eliminate some of the difficulties that people are having, and increase the facility with which people can get care, increase the affordability with which people can get care. And I'll tell you further, normally you don't use the words exciting and health policy together in a sentence, but with 3 roundtables with governors now since the first of the year, the governors are excited about what we're doing. They want the flexibility at their level to be able to take care of their people the way they know best. And I'm grateful that we're going to be allowing that.
But Congressman, very quickly, how can you have both? I mean, how can lower income people who are not going to be getting the subsidies as big as they have under Obamacare, how can they pay for their cell phone bill and their health bill without those subsidies?
Well, maybe now. The fact of the matter is that there is going to be help, and on the Ways and Means side, which is not part of our discussion today in Energy and Commerce, there is the concept of tax credits that's going to be debated. People will have options. People will have choices that they can make. And